Let me also just clarify a couple other things too. And I know Rob keeps saying, well, we need to get money so that Jennifer can use it. And I want to sort of remove myself from the scenario. I mean, I'm already personally getting attacked, calling this the Wesselhoff heist and the Wesselhoff tax. And I mean, I just need everybody to know that we're just trying to do something better for the community. And if it doesn't work out, at least we talked about it. Although we do feel that it's a good thing for the community because we need to market ourselves and we need to find a solution because what's happening now is not working. So we need to find a better solution. But with that in mind, we need to understand that the Chamber of Commerce is an umbrella organization, and we operate the Chamber of Commerce division, which is fully funded by many of you in this room as members of the chamber. You pay $195 a year to be a member, and we produce networking programs and skill building seminars and business exposure, and you get great benefits from being part of that chamber. The Tourism Bureau is another division under the Chamber of Commerce. And in that division, we have destination marketing, which gets $220,000, and we have the visitor services, which operates the visitor center, which gets $270,000 from the city. The rest of the funds that make up those budgets are generated by you guys, the private sector. So the Tourism Bureau is a public-private partnership between the business community and the members of the Tourism Bureau. Because we only get $220,000 for marketing, we have to rely on the private sector to help us enhance that budget and leverage those dollars. If we had $1 million budget or $800,000, we wouldn't necessarily need to rely on you guys as much to enhance that budget, because then it becomes more sustainable and we have more funds to be able to market the area. We also operate a film office, which is another division of this umbrella Chamber of Commerce, and we also operate an events division, which right now produces the Sedona Marathon event. So I just kind of wanted to clarify how we're structured a little bit so that you understand that the city really isn't giving the Chamber of Commerce anything. They're contracting with the Tourism Bureau for very specific services in terms of destination marketing, sales, PR, and visitor services. Wendy?
As of Saturday, the state is reducing the sales tax by 1 point. They're sunsetting. Okay, that's a sales tax.
So we've been asking for a formula of the bed tax for about 3 years now. And we've been requesting 55% of the bed tax, which is just a little bit under the national average. That would be to do the destination marketing and also operate the visitor center.
I remember that first winter after the crash of fall of 2008, and then in January of 2009, council gave the chamber more money, emergency funds, to go out there and market, and you all went and hit the winter base, or what do I want to call it, spring training.
Oh, right.
And I remember in my shop seeing so many people coming in their Cleveland Indians gear and whatever, the Giants, whoever. It was very obvious to me that there was a direct correlation, because I don't normally see quite that much action from spring training necessarily, so obvious. And so, that infusion of marketing helped us weather that first winter after the crash, I think. It was really, really beneficial. So I'm all in favor of getting more money. I just trying to figure out the best way to do it.
That visitor center is one of the busiest visitor centers in the entire country. It sees as many visitors or 2/3 as many visitors as the visitor center in Chicago on the Magnificent Mile. It's a busy center, and it's important to our businesses that we move those visitors around the community, encourage them to stay as long as possible and to spend as much as possible. The other 20% of the bed tax we're recommending be put into a fund that's managed by the city, not the chamber, managed by the city, which would be about $300,000 or $350,000, and that be used for tourism product development. Because right now, we're not doing anything to enhance the product that we have. Not many of us pay that 3% bed tax. So that tax is a discriminatory tax on the tourism industry that was created and should be used for tourism. Our problem is that right now only 30% of that is invested in the destination marketing organization.
Why?
And that's our challenge. I don't think our residents really know that we have great parks and we have all these great things, but we're not necessarily the ones paying for it. A property tax is another option for the city to generate revenue. I think we all sort of feel that a property tax probably wouldn't pass here in Sedona, primarily because that has to go to the voters. The voters have to vote in a property tax, whereas the city the city council can vote in a bed tax increase or a sales tax increase. They have the legislative authority to choose if they want to vote it in or if they want to send it to the voters. The city is primarily funded through bed tax and sales tax. So they're very reliant on that. And it's a limited pot of money. And they use it all. And so and we've been working with them for now about 13 years, advocating for more of the bed tax. Because generally, destination marketing organizations are funded through the bed tax. The bed tax is a tourism tax. When was the last time anyone in this room stayed at a hotel in Sedona?
Part of what happened is when the city was incorporated, it was a year before there was a state law put into effect that like all the bed tax dollars would have to go back to destination marketing. So when the city was incorporated, they set it up to run on these tourism dollars. So it was some poor long-term planning at the original incorporation of the city, and so they've been operating. Am I is this right? Okay. And so they've been operating under this old system that's really outdated and not the best practice.
Part of our challenge, and I think you guys can relate, is that there are many people here in Sedona who vote that don't want more tourism. They don't want more traffic. They don't want the burden on our infrastructure, yet they don't understand how much we rely on tourism for our quality of life.
Santa Fe's budget is about $2 million a year. The chamber now receives $200,000 a year budget to market Sedona. One of the things, it amazes me when I go out and I talk to people, business owners and citizens of Sedona. And the two things that I hear is that I don't want any more tax, or the chamber doesn't need any more money because they're not doing their job. And what we're trying to do is with a 0.5% sales tax, that's going to put about $1.8 million into the city coffers. They're looking at capital improvements. Now, we've talked to Tim and the city people, and they're saying that they don't have enough money to operate the city. They're telling us they need $4 million a year for capital improvements. If we do not go forward now and get Jennifer some money, which I'll tell you how we're going to do that, and get the city some money for capital improvements, they're going to tax us anyways.
We're to the point where we're so frustrated, and the Lodging Council is so frustrated that we're trying to come up with some other ideas, and that's why this proposal is on the table right now. So the city has a 3% sales tax and a 3% bed tax. The city generates about $12 million from the sales tax. they generate $1.5 million in tax on a room and another $1.5 million on the sales tax on a room, because Rob pays 6% at his hotel, whereas the sales tax you guys pay, or your guests pay, the 3%. So we estimate conservatively that the general fund, which is used to fund our city, which is where all this money goes into, the 12 million sales tax and the 1.5 million bed tax, goes all into the general fund that's used for city services. It's used for our parks, for our roads, for our police, for our well, no, the fire department is separate because the fire department isn't part of the city. It's a broader district. So that's where you have your separate mill levy and your separate tax that goes directly to the fire district.
What the lodging council is proposing, we are proposing a 0.5% sales tax increase for Sedona and a 0.5% increase in bed tax. But that's what the Sedona Lodging Council is proposing. This is not a Jennifer Wesselhoff proposal tax. This is a Sedona Lodging Council.
Talking about tax increases is a very difficult and emotional and philosophical issue. So we're trying to gauge, are our businesses even open to the dialogue? And that's why we're at the table. We want to hear if this is even possible to do something like this. So on June 17th, they're going to be doing a series of 3 meetings, a morning, an afternoon, and an evening meeting that's open to the entire public, all of the businesses, anybody who wants to come and talk about this issue. The consultant will be here doing a presentation showing all the numbers, showing the tourism scale, and then there'll be a panel discussion made up of someone from the city, someone from the lodging council, someone from the chamber, and a few other folks who can just answer questions about the impacts and what does this mean, and the city, hear it directly from the city regarding their financial situation. And then the plan is to take this all back to the city council. Tentatively right now we have that work session scheduled for July 31st. At that point, the city will give some direction as to, yes, we're comfortable voting in a bed tax, but we're not comfortable voting in a sales tax. Or yes, we're comfortable moving in this direction, and the next step then would be to post the proposed increases on the city's website. That needs to be posted for 60 days before they can even take any action. So they would post that, it would be up for 60 days, at which point they would vote for it if they choose to, and then it could be implemented 30 days after that. So if they choose to move in that direction, they could implement the new tax by the end of the year or the first of the year so that it could be used for our 2014 marketing planning process. They may say, yes, we're interested in both of these, but we don't have the political will to vote in a sales tax. So we want to put that on a ballot, and we want the people to vote for a sales tax increase. That process is an expensive one. It would be about $20,000 to put it on the ballot, plus the marketing money that would need to be used to educate and market and inform the public about why it's good or why it's bad. And I think there's a good chance that if that happened, that it probably wouldn't pass. And I don't know who would pay, for that marketing campaign to do that. The city obviously couldn't pay for that. So I think the easiest way is to show the support to the council so that they can feel comfortable in voting it in.